Hi, how's everybody doing? It's Paul from Magpie 24/7. I've just got back, so I thought I'd take a little bit of time to do a preview for tomorrow's game down in South Yorkshire for Newcastle United. It's a big game, a very important game, against Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. It is not going to be a walk in the park. If you haven't already checked out the preview over on the Facebook and the Twitter page that Jack did, please get that checked out and help support us on the rest of the social medias. And of course, hit the subscribe button. We're 20 away now from passing the 2,000 mark, so it would be gratefully appreciated. But yeah, like I touched upon before, a massive game tomorrow. You know, it's going to be a proof of the fact that we can cope with midweek games, you know, in Europe, and tough weekend Premier League bread and butter type games as well. So yeah, looking for a big performance, looking for probably a few players to be rotated, but looking most importantly not for the performance, not for anything else, 3 points, hopefully a couple of goals, but the bottom line is to get the 3 points in the bag. And if we do, that'll be obviously back-to-back victories for the first time this season. And again, it's going to push us into the top half of the table. Not like it really matters until you play 10 games really in the Premier League. Everything's settling down with our fixtures being so difficult. It is still very much early days in this new Premier League season. But yeah, so you know, it's a difficult game. It's an away game after an away game in Europe. Eddie Howe has been speaking, doing his press conference, and a couple of interesting things that has came out from it. Firstly, he's confirmed that because of the way the games are coming literally thick and fast, that there's minimal training really being done at the moment. It's just about conditioning, about recuperation, about the tactical side of it, and going through some light sessions. So we're not doing full training at the moment for the players who have played. Obviously, for the ones not used on the bench, that has been balanced, that has been sorted out and stuff. They are still training, but I thought that was quite an interesting thing that, you know, Eddie Howe's trying to manage the workload that these lads have got. So I think that's really spot on. There will be changes coming up for this weekend, I've no doubt about it, but he's again talked about we need to keep our identity, our spine, and there'll be a few changes and not sort of wholesale 11 sort of changes from week in to week out. We can't really do it at the moment. I know we've only got 2 injuries, but they come in a very important area of the pitch. Joe Linton and Joe Willock, both Joes basically, they are going to miss this weekend's game. Joe Linton does have a chance of coming back before the international break. Joe Willock does not. He won't be back until, you know, end of October, beginning of November, which when you think he was injured back in May, that's some chunk of time that he has missed. He'll have also missed obviously all of pre-season, so he is playing catch up in this season already. But 2 massive players, I can't wait for them back, but they're not going to be back for this weekend. Like I touched upon, he will make some changes, he will manage minutes as much as he can, but he's not going to take away from the Newcastle United identity. So look for 2 or 3 changes, I think, no more than that, as we go down there. What's going to be a tough game. It's an old-fashioned ground right in the middle of Sheffield. The fans are right on top of you. It's quite noisy, old school-esque. It'll be a difficult environment. The players will have to battle and scrape. And look, you only had to see when Manchester City went down there. They were lucky as fuck to be able to escape with 3 points. So if Newcastle United are a couple of % off their top levels, we will get found out. They are desperate for points. They are desperate to get the victory. And they are desperate to scramble up to somewhere around 36-40 points and stay up this season. So they will sense an opportunity. They've had a full week ready to go at this one. We have not. So they will smell blood in the water. There's no doubt about it. They'll know that we're not quite clicking at the moment. Eddie Howe touched upon that in his press conference. Still not quite clicking with regards to an attacking system. He's talked about the likes of Isaac carrying a little bit of a knock at the moment. Obviously, Wilson only trains sporadically as it is. And we're still trying to bed in, you know, the likes of Tonali. Undoubted quality, no doubt about it, but still trying to find that system. But I think things are getting better. And talking about better, and we'll touch upon this right now, because the news really couldn't get much better than this one. But Bruno Guimaraes is actually close to agreeing a new 5-year deal that's going to tie him down to St James's Park. which is absolutely a fantastic piece of news for me. It's going to be a major lift, a major boost, and I would expect that to be officially rubber stamped very, very shortly whenever this video goes out. I expect it to be really soon. Fabrizio Romano's all talking about it. Talks about the fact that Bruno's delighted to get the deal done. It has took a little bit of time, and I do think it's probably been a little bit of a distraction. His agent and everything else will have been in his ear. Family members will have been in his ear. There's been lots of interest in him, lots of eyes, lots of bids, lots of chatter, social media chatter for him. So to be able to cut all of that away and allow him to really focus on his football has got to be a positive. However, the £100 million release clause in there is a little bit concerning. You can't deny that, especially when the fact that Liverpool came around with a £100 million offer before, which we turned down. There is thought to be a release clause in there. That is a little bit of an issue. But look, even if a club offers £100 million, there's nothing to say that if we're sticking to everything else that's been agreed between the two parties with regards to, continuing the development of the team, it's still investing, still getting better, qualifying, for European competition season after season, that, he can just say, no, I don't want to move, and I think when you see Bruno, you see a player who is really, really happy on Tyneside, and a player who's really happy to be the centre, the centre of a major project, one of the biggest projects in all of European football. And I think he likes that, and he likes the responsibility, and he likes the experience and the ride of being at Newcastle United. So look, it's a little bit concerning that there is a release clause in there, but this is a very continental thing. We're probably going to have to get used to it moving forward as we attract bigger and better players all the time across the park. That these sort of things will be asked for more and more, and it's just about protecting and safeguarding the club. And if he was to move, it's about maximising the earning potential for the club so that we can reinvest that. And look what they did with St Maximin at the end of the day, and the deal that ultimately led to him going with £30 million in. Imagine what they could do with £100 million. Not that I want to sell Bruno. To me, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. He is that good, and he's one of the best midfielders we've ever seen in a black and white shirt, no doubt about it. But it's about protecting the club and about tying the player down. And I just think as long as everything is going as per the business plan, as per the sales pitch that he's been given when he first joined and will have been given again, as long as everything is going to plan, I don't see why he would go anywhere else. If he's getting everything sorted here on Tyneside, he's obviously got himself a hefty pay increase and stuff as well. I just don't see the need to worry too much. We're covered in case he was to go, but we've also got him tied down and a long contract on Tyneside for one of the best players who's ever pulled the fucking shirt on. So happy days as far as I'm concerned. It'll be even happier, of course, if we get the 3 points, from a tricky away game against, Sheffield United. They are missing one or two. Obviously, the red card that they had last time out. On paper, you'd say that Newcastle United's team and everything else is better, but the fact we're not quite clicking at the moment perhaps gives them a little bit of a chink of light, a little bit of an opportunity. I think it's going to be important to try and quieten the crowd down a little bit. I think it's going to be important that Nick Pope has another fantastic day between the sticks. We keep a clean sheet and we build on it from there, because if we can keep a clean sheet, as we've proven recently, we are capable of nicking a goal here and there, and then getting the 3 points, and that's all that matters. Everything else, the rest of the noise with regards to finding a position for Tonali or getting the balance right, these are things that will come with time. When the likes of Willett comes back, I think that you'll see a different Alexander Isak. I think them two work better. You look for partnerships across the park. Getting Joe Linton back in there with Bruno and that Sean Longstaff link up as well. You're looking for these partnerships. The team's going to be really difficult to predict this weekend. Of course it is, because of I found that out last time when I did the last prediction. I got some right, I got some totally wrong, but you've got to be in it to win it. yeah, it's looking to get those partnerships going. We've obviously got another massive game as well against Manchester City in the Cup. I expect to see more changes for that game than what we're going to see for this game. To me, if I'm going to go for a stab in the dark, I want to say Newcastle United, first of all, to get the victory 2-1. I think it'll be a narrow game. I don't think there'll be loads of goals. And I think with the raw energy and the desperation and their position in the league, and the fact that they've had a clear run up to it where we haven't, you could see them scoring, but I'm hoping that we've just got enough in the tank to be able to get 3 massive, crucial points, get the back-to-back victories, and like I say, move up the table. So Nick Pope will be in goal, there's no doubt about that. Dubravka missed the last game because of illness. I don't know if it's anything to do with that kung fu kick that Cristiano Ronaldo gave him previously, but obviously he was missing in midweek, wasn't he? Loris Karius, and the young lad, was on the bench. Dubravka's set to come back. He'll take his place on the bench, but Pope will be in goal. And across the back, he could make changes, but I don't think he is. I really don't. There's talk and chatter about Jamal Lascelles coming back in, but I can't see it. I can see changes happening if we are, say we're 2-0 up after 60 odd minutes. I can see changes then, but I think it'll be Fabian Schär and Sven Botman at the back. The defence was so mean last season, so I can't see him go too far away from it. I think on the right hand side, Trippier will play, despite the fact that it must be a temptation to bail Livramento at some point. And then on the other side, perhaps you could make a change here and bring a target back in, but I don't really see it. So I see Dan Burn going again. That's a little bit worrying, because he's been a little bit inconsistent. He's been great at points, but at other points it's just like you're left scratching your head. He gets exposed because of pace and stuff. But again, successive clean sheets. Do you want to mess around with the defence too much? Probably not. And you make your changes in the second half. You make your subs nice and early and positively, to affect the game that way. In the midfield, again, I don't think he's got a lot of options with the injuries and everything that we've got at the moment. I think it's likely to be the same. So you're looking at Sean Longstaff, Tenali, and Bruno in there. And then going forward, this is where I think that perhaps some changes may be done here, to be honest. Callum Wilson will play up top. I think Isak's got a little bit of a knock at the moment. He's got, 1 goal in 12, a little bit out of fettle. Still an absolute cracking and amazing player. Did some good hold up and stuff, but looked out on his feet for the past 20-30 minutes of that game in Milan, didn't he? He looked like he was torn quite a bit. So I think Wilson will be playing up top. There's no worries about his fitness. He just don't read too much into the fact he's not training or he's training away from the group. That is just what he does. And then either side, you've got some big calls to be able to make, because again, Anthony Gordon's played a lot of minutes recently. I think Harvey Barnes needs some game time. He needs some minutes. He was brought on far too late for me against Milan. I think he starts this game. I think Harvey Barnes starts on one side, and Miggy Almiron, who again had a bit of a knock, a bit of an issue when he was away in international duty, so hasn't seen as much action recently, but I think he comes back in. And I think he comes back in as well, not just for the fact that he's due a goal, he's due something to drop his way, and you wouldn't be surprised if it was against Sheffield United, but also the defensive side of the game. He will track back, he will run back, he will put some fantastic tackles in. Did you see the one against Milan? That could have been literally a point. Definitely contributed towards sort of saving a point. So for that, for the workmanlike mentality, and for the fact he's got to be due a goal shortly, I think Miggy will be in on one side. So Miggy on one side, Harvey Barnes on the other, Callum Wilson up top. And then everybody else will be on the bench. Now, this is the sort of game that if you do get 2-0 up, say you're 2-0 up early in the second half, I can imagine your Livramentos, your Halls being introduced. They need minutes. I understand they haven't played a great deal of time over pre-season and the summer, but the only way that they are going to get their match sharpness back and, to be fully integrated is by getting at least a few minutes here and there. And they're not getting that at the moment. So look for changes in the second half. Look for him managing minutes. I can see Livramento coming on for Kieran Trippier. I can see Hall coming on for maybe a Dan Burn or something like that. I can't see the formation being changed whatsoever. We're a little bit short of numbers centrally. Does that mean that Lewis Miley gets on the bench and perhaps gets some minutes in the second half? I'd be all for that. Elliot Anderson, again, will be wanting more time. You could start him in the middle, but again, with numbers a little bit depleted in the centre of the park, I think he's on the bench is our cover at the moment. So again, I expected to see Elliot Anderson probably from the bench at some time tomorrow. And then again, just trying to manage everybody, keep all these plates spinning so that we've got enough fresh legs to be able to give Manchester City a run for the money in the cup game coming up next weekend. I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to being back at St James's Park as well. So let me know what you think about that team. Who would you start? I know there's going to be a lot of people commenting for the likes of Hall to be able to play Liverpool or to be able to play. But can you realistically see it? What realistically do you think that Howe will go with? And what are the substitutes? Are you confident about winning? Are you a little bit apprehensive about, the opposition? Would it have been better at being St James's Park? I think I'd have felt a lot more comfortable if it had been on Tyneside as opposed to away down in South Yorkshire. So let me know about that. Your score predictions as well down below, and your feelings about Bruno's new contract. I personally think it's got to be looked at as a massive plus, and hopefully it'll give everybody else in the dressing room a nice big lift, and it also then paves the way for the club to get talking about contracts with other out of contract players who are coming up shortly, because we've got quite a few players who are out of contract at the end of this year able to discuss transfers away from the club abroad after January. So be really, really interesting to see if there's a knock-on effect and domino effect, or once this deal's done, the club can then move on to somebody else and get them tied down. Or perhaps not. Perhaps there is going to be a lot of players getting moved on in the summer again. You just don't know, do you? Let me know your thoughts about all of that down below. Fingers crossed we get the 3 points. Fingers crossed. It would be just great if we turned up, we scored a few goals, it was nice and easy, no injuries, and then we're back on the bus heading up to Tyneside, wouldn't it? It'd be absolutely great. But this is Newcastle United, and we never do anything as straightforward or as easy as that. So yeah, I think that is pretty much everything. It was a fantastic night midweek against AC Milan. I can't wait for more of the Champions League. I really can't. But now that they've got that first one out of the way, let's just hope everything else settles down and the players are able just to concentrate on a game at a time, and things start really picking up for Newcastle United after a difficult run of schedule of like fixtures and stuff like that, a difficult run of games. But we've got the games now to be able to start to climb up the Premier League. But we've got to put the effort in. We've got to earn it on the pitch. There's no doubt about it. These will be up for the fight. So it's so important that Newcastle United are ready for a fight, a scrap, a battle. And no doubt they'll get massive backing from everybody who's making the journey down for tomorrow's game. So yeah, let me know down below in the comments. I'll get replying back to everybody. And in the meantime, take care, keep it Toon, and I'll speak to you later.